Hello everyone, we are back. Last that happened, this is part 2 of the curtain call, the first scenario of the Path to Carcosa campaign. I think that's correct. It's not second part as in like an official term. It's just that I didn't finish yesterday. We did make it to Act 2, and we did make it to Agenda 2, so it's basically the second part. Now, I don't fully remember whether or not... Okay, considering this is here, I'm pretty sure I know, but I don't think I did Mythos. So the way this game works is that every round, after you're done doing all your stuff, you draw a card for turn. You draw a card after your turn, not before. Just don't worry about it. That's just the way it is. Then bad stuff happens. The first thing you do is you add Doom to this Doom counter, and if it's bigger than the number, we flip over this card, which is what we did last time. We did what was on the card, and that's great. But then you still draw from this deck, and I don't think we did that yet. So there's a button here. We're going to jump right in. Spirit's Torment. Curse. Geist. Attached to your location. All right. If you leave this location, you must either take a horror or lose an action. Okay. As an action, you can place one of your clues on the attached location to discard this. Interesting. I can use a clue to not have to deal with that. Unfortunately, that's not going to be relevant because I don't have any clues. If I went and got a clue and came back, I would have already, that would have already been an issue. So we're just going to have to take the horror probably. Alright, so we're back into the investigator phase, and I've actually been thinking a lot about what I'm going to do. And what the heck happened to my cards in hand? They're blank. Oh, right. I sit in the orange seat, because that's the color I play when I'm playing with friends. And I was like, why can't I see my hand? Alright. So, we have this friend here that we need to deal with. Rawr! And we need this friend here we need to deal with. Rawr! And we're way over here. If we get close to this guy, they will punch us. They have Hunter, and they have Retaliate. That's not relevant to what I'm talking about. And they also have this ability that just says, at the end of the enemy phase, if an investigator is at a location that is connecting to this location, or at the same location, they take a horror, which would be me. I don't want to take a horror. That's horrific. So, Hunter means that they move if they're not engaged with someone. If after moving they are engaged with someone, they smack them. The point is, they don't get like an extra attack, but the point is that they attack after moving. So if I'm standing here, they'll move in and punch me on the same go. So I kind of think I'm going to hang out here, let them come close, and then I'll mess them up next turn. I think that's probably my plan. It's going to be a little bit risky, unfortunately, because when they move in, I'm going to take a horror, and when I move out, I'm going to take a horror. But I think that's my best play. Alternatively, I could move in here and exhaust them so that they don't move. I would still take the horror from their like, singing aura, their aria aura. Has someone made that? Someone must have made that joke before. What other options do I have? I have scavenging, which is an asset. It's like a skill. It's a talent, I guess is what it's called. That I could invest in. It's not really worth my time right now. This one lets me get clues, which is going to be pretty good. And this is useful that I don't really need to do it right now. Act of Desperation could be a good way of bopping somebody. It always does +1 damage, which is not enough to kill this. But what is interesting here, actually, I hadn't thought about this before, is that Sledgehammer is kind of my only weapon right now. If I equip this and I hit them, that's 2 actions to fight. Maybe I could third action Act of Desperation it. I guess I don't need the extra damage, but it would be helpful to get myself back up. That might be reasonable. Either way, I would need time to move, and I don't have time to move. Because that's 3 actions that we're assuming. Do I have a good way of knocking this out? So, anyone who's new here might be like, what the heck are you doing? I'm playing Lola, Garbage Queen. I've called her Garbage Queen because that's the name of the deck, not her. She's an actress. But also, I think in the community, everyone thinks she's kind of garbage, so I thought it was funny. But we're calling it Garbage Queen because I got my discard pile over here, and these cards are also in my discard pile, but I can use them because they're cards that can be used from the discard pile. So this would be a way to evade them. Choose an enemy. It gets -1 for the evasion attempt. You may evade an additional enemy at the same location with evade X or lower. That's not going to happen, but it might still be relevant. So evading them is 2. I have an evade score of 3. The stat I use to evade, whatever it's called, agility or something. Feet. I call it feet. And this would give me an additional, leeway of 1. The question is, do I have a foot in my hand that I could just use instead? I could just use maybe improvisation. That's 2. That's probably better. Okay. So if I move here, 1, 2, and then exhaust, that is... then evade. They'll be exhausted. They won't be able to do anything except for hit me with their aura. But then I'm out of actions. They wake up. They say, hey, what's up? And I'll go, I don't have a gun or anything. So I think no matter what, I want to get this sledgehammer in play. Which would require me to get 1 resource. I put the hammer into play. I think that's the play. Okay. I delineated for quite some time, but yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get 1 resource. I'm going to play my sledgehammer. It takes up both my hands, so we'll just slap it in the center here. And I'll spend the money. And I have 1 action left. Which if I move, I'll get attacked. So I don't really want to do that. I'd rather wait for them to move to me, I think. I can't use scavenging because I'm out of money. Do I just want more money? This deck, the thing I'm learning the most is that this deck has no money in it. It's got decent card draw. It doesn't have any money. So I'll take a resource, even though I don't think it's the best play. And I will keep this in mind for when we upgrade the deck, because that's a thing you get to do between missions. All right. Let's go. We move to the end of the investigator phase, and our big friend, the royal emissary, messenger of Aldebaran, schlops towards me. There's no one here to fight, so they don't fight anybody, but they do scream in my ears, and each investigator at their location or a connected location takes a horror. That's me. Now, damage or horror, this being damage, this being horror, doesn't have to go to your actual investigator unless the card says direct damage or direct horror. So this dog is gonna have heard this. Their sensitive ears are the first to take the brunt before Lola. Each of them can take 2. So if they take a second one, they're gonzo. They run away, and I have to coerce them back into my hand before I can play them again. But for the time being, that's what we're doing. We'll move to my upkeep. I hit this fancy button. I get a card. I get a resource. Because of my permanent, if you've forgotten, I get to draw a second card, and then I discard one of these 2. Once again, Moonstone is a thing you could only play when you discard it, during the act of discarding it. But I can't afford it, so I can't. This is the second one I've drawn, and I can't actually play it because it's. I could hold in my hand. I think I don't need another gun. I don't have enough weapons in this deck for Prepare for the Worst to be useful, so I'm gonna actually discard that. Great. Moving on. We increase our doom by 1. This is the first out of 6. If we get to 6 before we kill the Royal Emissary, bad things probably happen. If we don't, we sort of delay the inevitable, I guess. That sounds good. Delay the inevitable. That's what people like to hear. And I draw an encounter card. Rats! Okay, that's not so bad. It's going to slow me down a little bit, but it's not horrible. And now it's back to my turn. What the heck do I do? So this friend is here. There's rats on me. I spend 1 action to get the rats off. I spend 1 action to move. I take a horror from moving because of the this card. The Torment, the Spirit's Torment. And then I've got 1 action left, which I guess I use to evade it. I take an additional horror from that, from just being around them. The next turn, assuming nothing terrible happens from the encounter deck, let me just double check. Rats don't have a spawn, right? No, they just show up on you. If it doesn't say spawn, it shows up where you are. So I'm gonna have to take a couple horror, but I think it'll get me on top of them. They'll be evaded, and then I can just lay into them. Yeah, that should work. That should work. Let's do it. All right. So first things first. There's rats on me. The rats only have a DC of 1. I think I can just do that with my fists. Do I want to risk that is the question. Yes, I think I do. I heard a bloop message. What the heck was that? I'm not used to bloop messages happening in this game. What the heck? I don't know what that sound effect was. Wait a minute. Was that me? Do I have those set up? I thought I didn't. What just happened? Hey, it's a follow! Hi, Philion! I just set up my alerts, like, yesterday, and I thought they weren't actually set up yet. I thought that they were, just, like, prepared to go. So that's cool. Nice to know those work. I was very surprised by that blip noise. That's my mouth. I did that sound. Alright, back to what I was doing. Yes, I'm just gonna fight and hope for the best, I think. I'm just going to fight and hope for the best, I think. You know what? I'm never going to play these boxing gloves. Let's get rid of them. We will commit the boxing gloves, and we will attack. Haha! That's a -1, I believe, unless I have 3 horror, which I don't. So they are discarded. Great. Then I need to move. And then I need to evade. I think to ensure the evasion goes off without a hitch, we're going to commit improvisation, which gives me +2 to any skill that I choose. And I get an Elder Sign. Elder Sign says, Elder Sign is different depending on which investigator you're playing. For Lola, it is +2, you may switch roles, which is sometimes really relevant because you can only switch roles once per turn, once per round. I did not switch roles this round, so it's not super relevant to me, the free bonus switching. And I'm out of actions anyway, so I don't think it's going to matter. So I'm just going to stay as a Guardian, I think. For the record, if anyone's following along, I'm allowed to only commit cards that are Guardian, or neutral. This one's neutral. And play cards, such as this one, which is both Guardian and Survivor, so it's very flexible for what we're doing, which is great. Okay, next, that's it. Move to the end of the turn. First and foremost, I kind of forgot to do it. Spirit's Torment says attached to your location. After you leave, take a horror or lose an action. I took the horror, I just forgot to, like, mark it. So I'll take that actually on me, because neither of my dogs can take another hit. So we'll do that. I do have another dog in my hand, but I can't play them until after I'm done fighting, and I'm going to need them to help me in the fight. So that's what we're going to do. We move to the... this gets exhausted because I successfully evaded it. So it's in the area, but it can't find me, so it can't fight me. It knows that I'm around here somewhere. It's dazed and confused, but it is going to scream in my ears, and once again, I'm going to take that on myself. Taking it on myself is a little bit risky because, as we've talked about before, skull icons give you -3 if you have 3 or more horror on you. So if I get to that 3, suddenly things get a lot more difficult, but I think we're going to be good. So we're going to move to the next step in the Doom track. We're going to... Actually, I didn't do my upkeep yet. Sorry, do upkeep first. Upkeep. Crap. Okay. So, let's talk about this. Forced Learning says, during each upkeep phase, instead of drawing one card, draw two, then discard one of them. You are not allowed to willfully discard a card such as Crisis of Identity. I don't even know if it would technically count anyway now that I think about it, because it has a revelation. If anybody knows the answer to that, I'd be really curious to know. Because it says draw two, then discard one, which implies that if both of them had revelations, they would kick before the discard? I don't know. Probably that's not the case. Probably it's like you would draw two, discard one, then trigger any revelations that are still in your hand. That would be my guess, but I don't actually know the ruling. Either way, you cannot discard weaknesses, so I must keep this in my hand. And this is bad for me. This is very bad. I probably should have actually swapped my role to something that wasn't Guardian or Survivor, and then just swapped back on my next turn. That would have been the really smart, like, high-level play, but I didn't do it, so wish me luck. This says, Revelation, which means when you draw this, discard all cards you control of your current role. Then discard the top card of your deck and switch your role to the class of the discarded card. So first and foremost, Winging It gets discarded because of Forced Learning. But that's okay, because you can play them from your discard pile. So I'm okay with that. Crisis of Identity gets revealed, revelationed. And I am currently in Guardian. So my Sledgehammer gets discarded, which I just played last turn. Okay, and then I'll discard the top card of my deck. It is Scavenging. So I am in the Survivor role, which is fine. It's basically just as useful to me as any other role. Unfortunately, I don't have a weapon. Also, this guy who was exhausted is now not exhausted. That's just something that happens during the monster phase. I just didn't mention it. So, let's see what I draw from the encounter deck. That was not the Bad Stuff's deck. That was my own deck being bad to me. We're drawing from here now. Let's see what we get. Black Stars Rise. Test 4 books. Not good. If you fail, you must either place a Doom on the agenda or take a horror for each point you failed by. If it causes the agenda to advance, the agenda advances. Okay, that's important because normally the agenda can only advance at the start of the turn when it gains Doom naturally. If it has more Doom than it needs at the start of the round, it'll advance then, unless a card says otherwise, like this. Okay, I'm now weaponless. Anyway, I'm going to test 4. I don't think I super care. I think I'm still expecting, and I could be wrong, but I'm expecting to be able to defeat this guy before it comes around. So I think I can just take the Doom. Normally you really don't want to take Doom, but since this this agenda says reset it to the previous one, it'll change its Doom anyway, so I think I should be safe. I got a 0, which is pretty lucky, but I only have 3 in my books, so I still fail. I could take the horror, though, because it's only 1 horror. Yeah. Well, I'm going to take the Doom, like, you know, like someone who throws caution to the wind, because that's always a good plan. Dang, what do I do here? What the heck do I do? We've got this friend on us, so I could evade them and run away. That's totally a thing I could do. The problem is, as we just talked about, I don't want this to tick over. That would be bad for me. There's also still another act over here. If I finish the objective of defeating the man in the pallid mask, there's still another thing. So I can't just try and outrun that, I don't think. I need to really deal with the Royal Emissary, is my guess. Yeah. We haven't really talked about Retaliate. It just means that if I attack and I miss, they hit me back. but only if I miss, which is nice. So we can swing our dogs. We can say, dogs, please fight for me. And they can deal 2 damage to it. But then they'll be exhausted, and I'll need to find a way to do the other 2 damage. I could use Act of Desperation. Actually, this is an item. Wait a minute, this works. As an additional cost to play Act of Desperation, choose and discard an asset that takes up at least 1 hand. Crap. I thought it just had to be an item. Ah, dang it, I got so excited there. I want to bash them in the head with the Moonstone. Come on, that would be great. Ah, that sucks. That would have been awesome. Alright, do I have any plans over here? I have Improvised Weapon. Improvised Weapon would work. Fight, the attack enemy gets -1 fight. If it comes from your discard pile, you deal additional damage and shuffle it into your deck. Yes, this will work. This will work. Alright, let's go. Let's do the thing. Sled dogs are a go. We're going to use our first action to fight with the sled dogs. They both get exhausted. I get +2 to my attempt, and I do 2 damage. Now, the DC is 4, and that means that I have a total of 5. Can I increase this value by any? That's a book. It's a nothing. I could use Act of Desperation here. Yeah. Except for the next one's going to be even harder, right? Because this one I'm only getting +1, or my opponent's getting -1, but same thing. So if I'm going to spend it on anything, I'm going to want to spend it on the on that. Shame I can't put these in my hand. That would be really useful. It would take an action, but I would get attacked in the process. So I don't really want to do that. I could discard a dog. I think that's probably what I have to do. I have to discard 1 dog in my hand. And then I have to, on the next attack, use Act of Desperation. Alright, we're going to do it. We're going to commit the sled dog to the sled dog attack. That's a 0. That succeeds. That's 2 damage. Okay. Great. Just to like review the math there, that is my fists of 3 plus 2 for each dog, or 1 for each dog, to a total of 2. Bring it up to 5, and then 1 more for this, which is 6. Reduced by 0, which is higher than 4. So, I didn't necessarily need to be 2 up, but it's way safer to be 2 up, so I'm glad I was. Next, that is our... Was that our first attack? That was our first attack, right? Yeah. Second attack, we're going to play Improvised Weapon. Improvised Weapon says you may play this from your discard pile if you do shuffle it into your deck after resolving its effects. So it will cost us 1 resource, and my opponent gets -1 fight. And if I played it from a discard pile, it gets +1 damage. You always do 1 damage when you fight. So +1 is 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, or so I've heard. All right. To make sure that we can do this, because they're at 3 and I'm at 3, I'm going to play Act of Desperation as a committed card for 2 more fists, and that's an Elder Sign. Elder Sign, as usual, not super relevant for Lola right now, but cool nonetheless in this moment. All right. It's really interesting. So, like, I hit the Crisis of Identity earlier, which lets me, you know, makes me lose all my assets that are relevant to the thing. This build for Lola is actually really cool. I'm very happy with how it's turning out. It's not perfect. It could use some refining, but, like, I'm very happy with how it's working. It's letting me play kind of a mono class Lola, which usually the point of Lola is to be playing all sorts of different classes, but, I think it's actually really interesting to go, I'm going to play mostly one class and then a few other things. But the mostly one class isn't assets, it's events. So I lost the Sledgehammer and that sucks, but I'm not losing my dogs because they're neutral. Those don't get discarded. So that's nice. Anyway, Act of Desperation is discarded. Improvised Weapon is shuffled into my deck. And our big friend here takes 2 more damage and gets moved to the victory display, which is sitting over here somewhere underneath this story card. Now, if they, if we advance the threat again, then I will lose. They'll show up again. They're only temporarily removed from play. Where do I discard these two? And it's a trash can. That'll work. Forced. After the Royal Emissary is added to the victory display, remove all Doom from play, reset the agenda deck to Agenda 1A, then place 3 Doom on that agenda. So, we're back here to the third act. The theater is eerily silent. The old wooden floor creaks beneath your feet, and a light rain gently patters on the roof as you explore the auditorium. There are more rotting corpses among the seats, and the rest of the crowd has vanished. So, we have 3 turns before the emissary returns. We know this. Except we have kind of only 2 turns because we're going to get our Doom immediately. That all said, we have a place we need to get to, and it is at the other end of the theater, so let's go. For any of you wondering who was watching last time, I have conferred with the rules, and when I was supposed to choose a random location for the Pallid Mask to, the man in the Pallid Mask to spawn at, I was intended to include the other backstage doorway. I think this is actually probably harder than me, even for me, although I have heard that the opposite is quite true. But it seems weird to me because I have to run all the way over there. That seems hard. But anyway, the point remains, I think that was the fairest thing to do in a situation where I did not know the answer. Because if the backstage room was not supposed to be allowed, it could spawn in a place that breaks the game, theoretically. Whereas here, it's still spawning in the spot that it would have been possible to have drawn. Anyway, I have not actually entered the theater this whole time. I'm Lola, I started backstage, and I've just stayed backstage the whole game. To say that the theater is in disarray would be a profound understatement. The walls and seats, previously polished to a shine, are cracked and caked with dirt. The curtains are tattered, and the set is stained with old blood. You aren't sure what's worse, the smell of rot or the nagging feeling that you've been asleep for a very long time. Alright, cool. There's no clues here. Great. That was my whole extra action. It was just moving one time. Let's go. Monsters move. They don't do anything. I should point out, this guy is also like an enemy, and I should have been pointing out that they don't move because they don't have Hunter. And even if I was with them, they wouldn't attack me because they have Aloof. They just kind of are hanging out and being creepy. Anyway, I'm going to upkeep. I will draw an additional card, as is my wont. And, ooh, a new dog. I could use a new dog. I don't really want my dogs to, like, get scared and run away. I'd rather they, you know, I give them a time to, you know, rest and relax and recuperate from what they've seen. So I could replace a dog with another dog and feel pretty good about that, I think. The other thing I drew was Improvised Weapon, which is better in my discard pile. So, did I remember to shuffle my deck, or did I just put it on top and forget? I don't think I forgot, but also it's entirely possible I did. The question is, what is the worst thing for me to assume and roll the clock back to? I think I'm just gonna assume I did it correctly, because I don't want to, like, move something around, but yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I could just put those 2 back and shuffle it and then draw 2 more, but then I feel like I've put 2 cards back. But at the same time, I want these 2 cards, so maybe that is the better thing to do. I read a rule recently that says if you don't know what the correct ruling is, make the ruling that is worst for your chances of winning, which I think is really funny. And I don't know the answer to that right now, so I'm going to just assume everything's fine. Anyway, Improvised Weapon's going to get discarded because they are more powerful in my discard pile anyway. Trash Queen, let's go. Alright. Now, we don't actually start yet. We have to move to Doom. Doom ticks up to 4, and I draw an encounter card. Oh, it's Rotting Remains. Test 3. For each point you fail by, take a horror. Okay. I don't have any way of making this easier for myself. Let's just hope I get a 0. That's a -2. That's not a 0. I will take 2 horror. Dang. I don't want to hit 3 horror. I do want both my dogs in play. What am I going to do on my turn? I have to move 1, 2 to get here, and then I can make this test. That's fine. Yeah, alright. Sorry, dogs. You're going to have to take the hit. Wait, is that useful? Am I out of dogs? What's in my discard pile? Do I have any dogs in my discard pile? I think I might, right? I do. I have 1 dog in my discard pile. Okay. So that's all 4. There's only 4 dogs in the deck. It says you may include up to 4 copies of sled dogs in your deck. So if I discard both of these, then the one in my hand is not very useful unless I'm able to pull it out of the discard, which I could, right? I could get like scavenging or something to, well, that's an item card specifically, but there's other cards that let me pull things out of my discard. So that's not the worst, but I think I'd rather... I'm going to take 1 of it on me and 1 of it on the dog. The dog is going to get scared and run off into my trash pile. And that's just going to have to be the way it is. Sorry, dog. Alright, we move to me, and I didn't really want to do this, but now that I am in this situation, it seems like what I'm doing. So I'm going to spend 3 to play my other dog. Then I'm going to activate the other ability, exhaust X dogs to move X times. I was hoping I could have both of them in play and then do that, but here I'm spending an action to play 1 dog, so it's kind of irrelevant, but oh well. What you gonna do? So I get to move twice, which normally takes an action each. So I move here, which enters the lobby. Through the tall glass doors leading into the lobby, you can see that this room isn't nearly as dilapidated as the auditorium. Signs promoting the King in Yellow taunt you from inside. When the lobby is revealed, put 2 of the set-aside lobby doorway locations into play at random. Ah, I see. Right. Okay, cool. That makes sense. So there's always at least 2 cards left, and it's randomly over here or over here. Right. It wasn't... Okay. Yeah, no, if I'd been here, then that would have been an obvious ruling, but I was not here, so I was unsure previously. Alright, anyway. These are the lobbies? Yeah. Alright, the other 2 lobby rooms are here. Oh, I don't flip them over. I keep doing that. Great. They are over here. They are connected only to the lobby. Great. As 2 actions, for 2 actions, you can draw 3 cards. That's not terrible. Anyway, I'm in the middle of my move. That was my first of the 2 moves. This is my second. We're going to go into this door. Green room. Investigate. Or 5 shroud. Wow, 5 shroud? That's a lot. Okay. 1 clue per person. They didn't spawn because I accidentally flipped it over earlier. It's my bad. And that's 1 per, which is 1. As an action, you investigate. You get +3 for this investigation. After the skill test ends, discard each card in your hand. Wow, okay. That's interesting. I could use it to activate my Moonstone if I wanted to. Huh. Not that I can afford the Moonstone, but it's interesting. Anyway, we are now here at the Man in the Pallid Mask. That took us only 2 actions. 1 to play the dog, 1 to move, which is what it would have been if we just moved naturally anyway, so it's not a big deal, but still interesting. Dang it. Perfect. Anyway, for 1 action, we can investigate. Our location gets +2 shroud. And we have to, and if we succeed, we don't discover clues, we instead defeat the Man in the Pallid Mask. That's a DC of 7. Wow. You know what I could do? So even though this guy will not engage me because they're aloof, I could engage them. If you're engaged with an enemy and you move, they punch you but do get dragged with you. I could move them to a place with lower shroud. That's weird. Their ability is also really interesting, just to point out interactions. A lot of abilities let you investigate. You can naturally choose to investigate. This ability here lets me investigate. But I can't combine these two. Because it's not just when you investigate at this location, you may add 2 Shroud and instead of discovering clues, defeat the man in the pallid mask. You have to use this investigate action, right? So, difficult. Anyway, I have 1 action remaining. And I'm not sure what to do with it. Investigate, you get +X. If you succeed, discover additional clues at your location. I believe there is one. Okay, wow. I need to sort my my secondary discard pile. Let's go through this. Because I'm pretty sure. I thought I had another one in here. Do I not? That's weird. I don't know. What's up with that? Let me double check. Where is my... There it is. Fortuitous Discovery should be over here. I can't play it from my discard pile, but I should know how many I have in my discard pile. Alright, great. Beautiful. Okay, cool. 5. Can I possibly win against 5? This ability gives my location -1 Shroud. But I can't use these, because these are their own investigate abilities. I need something that actually buffs my investigate so that I can use this investigate ability. Alternatively, I could just try to kill them, which is totally reasonable, but I think I'd rather not. They seem like a person. Like, now then again, it's a little bit wishy-washy sometimes whether or not defeating an enemy is killing them, or if defeating an enemy is like wrestling them and being like, hey, tell me what you know. But also, because this is a designed scenario, this isn't just like a random, you know, series of events that are challenging and then you go, yeah, I won. There are outcomes. This book here, you might even remember from last time, there is a page that says, do not read this page, because that has story details. Something changes. And I don't know for sure whether or not it's going to be like, did you defeat the man in the pallid mask by fighting them, or did you defeat them by investigating? But it's totally within the realm of possibility that the game is going to do that. And given the option, I think I'd rather get them by investigating. Which I don't know if I can do. I guess the way I could do it is with Glimmer of Hope. This lets me get 3 extra symbols. I can commit these to the test. This also lets me to commit. That'd be 4. That would put me at 7. That's even. And that's a lot of stuff invested just to be even. I don't think I can really afford that, is the thing. I don't know what to do. The idea of engaging with them and then dragging them around does not sound horrible. They do give horror. And I would rather not take a ton of horror. And moving them here is not enough. That's only 1. 1 less, I should say. If I can drag them over to the theater, that's 2 less. So that's like, I'd have to take 2 horror in the process. And then I'm still fighting at DC 4. I think that's probably my best play, which is weird. But I think it is. Unfortunately. Ooh, interesting. If I use the sled dogs to move X times, I think they still get the attack of opportunity for each move. Right? It's just moving makes the attack, not spending an action, I think. If you're engaged with an enemy and spend an action to do anything other than fight, evade, parley, resign, each enemy engaged with you makes... I'm not sure, actually. Now, the Grim rule would state you should definitely get attacked twice, but I'd be very curious to know whether or not that is accurate. If anybody in chat knows, I could pull up chat for a quick second and see if anybody has an answer to that. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. Finally on is saying, one attack indeed. Okay, so if I spend the dogs to move, it's one action, so it's one attack. That might be valid. That might actually work. Thank you for the reply there, yeah. It's when you spend the action, says Bertez. Very good. Okay, well, we're going to try that. We're going to definitely give that a shot. So the best thing for me to do here, I think... I still have one action left. I don't want to engage now because then I'll get attacked just naturally, which I don't want. So I think I just take a resource. I'm always short on resources with this character. I'm definitely going to need to change up that deck next time we upgrade. Let's move on to upkeep. Okay. I draw a second card for Forced Learning. Bandelier. The Fortuitous Discovery. Putting it into my discard pile would make my other one stronger, but using it would also be good. I don't know if I'm ever going to have time to put this on, and I'm not having trouble with health right now. I think I'll get rid of the Bandelier. Alright, great. So, moving on. This moves up to 5, which is not great for me. And we'll draw a new encounter. I have a feeling I'm going to get apps. Wait a minute, did I just mess up? No, I didn't. Okay, so I was thinking I might have messed up because it would be really nice to have spent my action to pull the Glimmer of Hope back, but I had no resources, so no, I couldn't have even if I wanted to. Okay, that's fine. The King's Edict. Revelation. For each cultist enemy in play... Oh, there is a cultist enemy in play. Move a clue from that enemy's location. There's no clues on that enemy's location. To that enemy, okay? Until the end of the round, each cultist enemy in play gets +1 fight for each clue and or doom on it. If no clues are moved, this gains Surge. That means you just draw another card. Is this a cultist? No, they're not a cultist. Okay, so we just draw a new card. Let me just double check that I'm right. There is a cultist, but there's no clues. Okay. Okay, let's try that a third time's the charm. Twisted to his will. Revelation. If there is no doom in play, this gains Surge. There is doom in play. Otherwise, test X. Okay, if you fail discard cards in your hand at random, that's not so bad right now for me. I'm not really hyper-reliant on my hand at the moment, so that's fine. X is 5, to be clear, so we're not winning this, but I think I should be okay. That's a -4. Good. Alright. We will group these and shuffle them. Oh, hey, we got some of these cards over here. Get out of there. Alright. 2 cards. We are losing our Fortuitous Discovery and Scavenging. Okay, cool. Great. So, let's see if this plan works. Action to engage. Double move with the dogs, taking 1 horror, and then I can make 1 test. The test will be against 4. And I'm just doing it raw. This won't work. I mean, it will work, but it won't work. I can't succeed at that test without having something in hand to discard. This was one of the things I wanted to commit, but also these are, and I haven't had time to pick them up. So if instead I take my action to pick up the Glimmer of Hope, and then I engage and move, then I'm out of time. Not only am I out of time, but this guy's gonna come back. Which I guess is probably gonna happen anyway. Probably. It's unlikely that advancing this would tell me to skip past Agenda 1A and go straight to like 3 or something, but I like this plan of moving the man in the pallid mask over. But it's not gonna work. Not right now, at least. Do I have anything over here that I'm forgetting about? That's fighting, that's investigating, which doesn't buff my normal investigate, it's just investigating. That's evading. Let's see. I could grab them and move. That would put me here. Then have the other friends spawn on top of me. I could maybe then, like, evade them both. This plan expects me to take a lot of horror. And something just drove by. Drove by? Yes, drove by. That's the appropriate way of saying that. I think that's what I have to do. Play to your outs. Play to your outs. Okay, we are going to spend one resource to draw these 3 Glimmer of Hopes. Or, I'm technically playing a Glimmer of Hope, which says, add all copies of Glimmer of Hope in your discard pile to your hand, including this copy. So, great. Those are in my hand now. That's my first action. If I grab you and pull, I'm taking 1 horror. At the end of the turn, I take another horror, because you're still engaged with me. Yeah. We gotta do it. Alright, I'm going to engage as an action. And then I'm going to tap these dogs to move as an action. 1, 2. Now, it's possible that the balcony has a lower shroud, but I don't know what it is, and that would be a big risk for me to, like, head up there, not knowing. I take 1 horror in the process, which I'll put on one of my good dogs. They're doing so much for me. Definitely carrying, which is great, because I kind of wanted to see them, you know, do a lot of work. It's a new card, and it's a cool card that I think it's often hard to justify putting in your deck, so. Whew. We move to monster. I take another horror. We're going to send one of our dogs to cower in the corner for a while. It's okay. And then we move to upkeep. Okay. I have no favors left to call, I do not think. I called Invocation. There's an additional cost to play a called Invocation. Discard up to 2 cards from your hand. Then fight. I mean, if I need to fight, that's a very good fight card. Which I might need to fight when the next guy shows up. Can I afford it, though? I think I want to evade with Impromptu Barrier next turn, which is one of my resources. So I won't be able to cast this. But I could cast it the following turn, so that might actually be fine. Calling in favors, I could bounce my dog and then get another thing, and then that might be useful. I'm not sure. I'm going to say no to calling in favors, although getting some extra tanks would be great. Some extra allies to protect me. Oh well. We're mostly dogs, and our dogs are mostly gone, so probably not going to work. Let's move. This ticks up to 6. As before, abruptly the malformed body of an unnatural nightmare slams onto the stage, its slithering tendrils reaching into the aisles. It opens its maw and lets out a shrill, piercing song. The melody is uncanny, the notes sear into your mind, pain pounds in your forehead, and blood runs from your ears. Luckily, it doesn't ETB do horror to me. That's nice. Crash. This resets down to 0. And we still have the Encore once again. Okay. Let's draw a card. Oh no, is this bad for me? Frozen in Fear. First time you perform the following: move, fight, or evade. It costs an additional action. The end of your turn, test 3. Okay. So the annoying thing about this card is it sticks around if I don't succeed at that forced test, which I might, but I think I should be okay. I'm going to evade while I'm a survivor. And then I'm going to, and that will cost me 2, and then I will investigate. Yeah, this should be fine. This should be fine. So, I should point out, this is engaged with me. I just didn't display it properly. Royal Emissary, on the other hand, is massive and kind of always engaged with me, but not really. Great. First things first. Impromptu barrier. This is a evade action. So it's going to cost me some stuff, but that's okay. I think this is still the best play. I think this still works. You may play the impromptu barrier from your discard pile. If you do, shuffle it into your deck after resolving its effect. You evade. My opponent gets -1 evade. If I played it from a discard pile, I may evade an additional enemy at the same location whose evade X, with evade X or lower, X of the amount he succeeded by. So I'm not going to actually be able to evade the Man in the Pallid Mask, which is fine. I don't need to evade the Man in the Pallid Mask, really. It would be nice because they are engaged with me, but yeah. I could theoretically evade the Man in the Pallid Mask, and then I'd have to get 5, I guess, which would be very difficult for me to do. So, not worth it. The question is, do I want to spend a card to help this succeed? If I spend one of my Glimmer of Hopes now, that puts me at 4 to 2. Now, if I get a skull, that's a -3. So that doesn't change my odds a ton. After I've evaded, if I investigate against this guy, I kind of had forgotten, but when I investigate, I am going to get hit again, because that's not a valid action, unfortunately. But that's fine. I need to beat 4, and my skill is 3. So if I don't spend all of these, well, I guess I could spend this one, though. That's got a book. 6 to 4, that puts me 2 up. Yeah, I think being 2 up twice is the best I can do. I might lose this. Alright, Glimmer of Hope, let's go. We're going to commit a Glimmer of Hope to our Impromptu Barrier. I will spend 1 resource to play Impromptu Barrier. You might be asking, why bother? Why not, like, just do a natural evade? I really do need the extra 1 evade right now, so we're going to take what we can get. That's -3. Yeah, I mean, I called it. I called it, didn't I? Alright. I'm at 3, plus 1 is 4. -3 puts me at 1. Wait, does meets beat? Wait a minute. Did I succeed? 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. -3 is 1. I still succeed, right? Wait, do I succeed? I think so. I think I still succeed, right? I just have to hit their score. Yeah. No, okay. Wow. I thought I failed there. No, that actually works. Yeah. Okay. So, I succeed at a success of 0. I succeed by 0, but I still succeed. Impromptu Barrier gets shuffled into my deck, which is really small at this point. This was a 50-card deck at the beginning of the game. Glimmer of Hope is in my discard pile. And this is evaded. I only have 1 action left, and I would like to spend that action to investigate using this action. I'll take a horror for that. And I need to beat 4. This will put me at 6. I can put all 3 of these and be 3 up, and then it will let me dodge a skull. Yeah, I think I do that. I do that. Okay. Whew. Investigate. +2. I'm gonna take a horror. Our last dog is gonna go hang out with the other dogs. You've all been great. That succeeds. I didn't actually play these from my hand. These were all committed. All 3 of these. Sorry, that's my bad. I said I was gonna do that, but I didn't actually. Oh crap! I can't do that. Crap. Okay, so I'm Lola, which means I can only commit cards of 1 roll at a time. I can't like commit 2 of the cards, switch rolls, and then commit the other card. That's not legal. So I can't actually commit all 3 of those cards. Now, I've already drawn the token, and I would have succeeded with 2 Glimmer of Hopes, but would I... I feel like I need to redraw. I think that's the only fair thing to do. So I still have this in my hand. I did commit the 2 Glimmer of Hopes, and even though I would have succeeded, and I probably would have still made this attempt, I think the only fair thing to do is to actually draw again. Dang it. Oh, I'm so sweaty. Well, that's an auto fail. So even if I could have invested 1 more, that would have been a loss. Okay. I think I lose this one. I should say, no, they're just evade. I didn't defeat them. Never mind. Sorry, I was distracted. Oh, this is bad. Okay, that's my last action. I'm going to test 3 for Frozen in Fear. Hey, I pass! Yay! Small victories. We'll take them. Then... Oh... the Mana Paladin will hit me, putting me at 4 out of 6. I really can't take many hits. And we move to... this guy will ready, which will also do horror to me. Oh, I'm dead. I can't win this. I'm dead. Okay, that's fine. I do enjoy that this game lets you lose sometimes. Like, you know what? It's supposed to be, like, Eldritch Horror. Sometimes things are hard and you lose, and that's okay. Okay. Alright, yeah. Okay, we're 1 step away from dying from horror. Let's do upkeep. 1 additional card for my forced learning. If this test is successful, choose a survivor card not named resourceful that's in your discard pile. Add it to your hand. 1-2 punch. I can afford that. Do I want to 1-2 punch somebody? If you succeed, you may fight the enemy again. You get +2 and +1. So that's 3 damage total if both hit. How much does Paladin Mask have? 3 health. Alternatively, I can do Occultification, which is the same amount of money, same amount of resources. This attack uses Book, which is the same for me. It's irrelevant. You get +1 and +1 damage per card discarded. So if I discard 2 cards, then I'm getting +2/+2, which is still 3 damage, which is a better odds. I think this is the better odds, right? I'd be rolling at 5 once instead of at 4 twice. Yeah, 4 twice is clearly worse. Okay. And it's Book, so I can't actually commit. I mean, I can't commit things anyway, because Lola... Not being able to commit things is probably the... I mean, there's a lot of things that I can say are probably the Lola's biggest weakness, but yeah, that's probably not accurate to say. I'll discard 1-2 punch. I'm giving up talking with you, Buster. I guess, probably. Anyway, this ticks up to 1. And I'm gonna take an encounter card. It's a poltergeist! Cannot be damaged except by spells or relics. Well, I didn't put any of those in my deck, I don't think. As an action, you can parlay at 3 to attempt to banish it. If you succeed, deal 1 damage. So you gotta do that twice. Oof. Alright. Note to self when upgrading your deck. Add resource generation and maybe some spells and relics. I don't know. Alright. Okay. It is time to fight something. We are going to spend our quick action to go to Seeker, which is one of these. There it is. And we'll mark that we've already used it. And we're just gonna go for this. I don't have a better plan. I think I've lost. I spend 2 resources and I play a Called Invocation. Additional cost, discard 2 cards from your hand. I'll discard, I guess, what the heck is this? Oh, that's my... You should be locked. You're a permanent card. Okay. Anyway. Resourceful could let me pull something out from my discard, which would be useful, maybe. Moonstone, it's not happening. If I had 3, I could play it, but obviously I don't. But Fortuitous Discovery it could be really useful if there's another thing where I need clues. I'm going to discard these 2, and I can pull something out of my graveyard later, hopefully. Or my discard pile. It goes in here. Well. Wish me luck. Swinging at 5 for 3 damage. That's -3, I lose. Okay, that's a fail. That's a fail. Okay, so what else is there? I don't know. What plan of action exists? As far as I'm aware, there is no like resign option. Maybe one of these is like an exit. So let's talk a little bit about the structure of scenarios. From my experience, often there are different levels of failure, right? Succeeding is great, and that's what we want. But if you're not going to succeed, what's the next best thing? I think, like, dying is the worst usually, and dooming out is second worst, but I could be mistaken. That might be the other way around, right? By dooming out, I mean, like, if this doom counter reaches the end, something terrible is going to happen, I assume, right? We don't want this to hit 6. But is that hitting 6 less bad than me dying? Because I'm not actually going to die. I'm just going to, like, run away with a really bad headache. That is a understatement, but you know what I mean. But there's also sometimes resign options that let you bail on a mission. Say, I've done all I can, I'm getting out of here. And I've not done super well. But maybe one of these is a resign. Is that worth trying? I don't know. The question is, can I even? I have 1 horror left. If I, I'd have to evade both these things and run away at least 2 squares without provoking an attack of opportunity from this. No, I'm dead. I can't. There's nothing I could do. Nope, there's no way out. I don't see any way out. So I'll look at chat and see if they have any ideas. Alright. The auto fail is aggravating as hell, but I wouldn't give it up for the world. Yeah, no, it's good that it's in there. Bold Glass, hello Bold Glass. Whether being defeated or dooming out is worse depends on the scenario. Using dooming out is worth the question mark. Yeah, either way, I don't think either one is an option. I'm pretty sure I couldn't dodge the situation long enough to doom out if I wanted to, which probably wouldn't be the best call, but even if it was, isn't an option. I don't see anything. I don't have, like... Yeah, no, that's it. That's it for me. I waive my last 2 actions to prevent an attack of opportunity, and I get mauled by the man in the pallid mask, a poltergeist, and the royal emissary. Wow, that was a sudden 6 damage, combining damage and horror, in 1 turn. Huh. Did I mention this is the first time I've played solo? I decided to play Lola. I like Lola. She's cool. Alright, let's see what happens. Bleh. Do not read until the end of the scenario. If no resolution was reached, each investigator was defeated. Once again, you are startled awake, this time by the cold, clammy fingers of a hand on your shoulder. Are you alright? Are you alright? An elderly man asks, helping you to your feet. Your mind is a flurry of memories. Last you remember, the Ward Theater had become a place of nightmares, filled with dangerous fanatics and strange terrors. Worried, you glance at your surroundings, only to find yourself on the rain-slicked curb outside the theater. Despite the events from earlier, the city seems normal to your eyes, or at least what passes as normal for Arkham. The bright glare of headlights drills into your eyes as cars pass on the street, splashing dirty rainwater onto the sidewalk beside you. The old man wears an expression of concern, noting the terror in your eyes. Were you mugged? Damn those troubled boys, he exclaims. Dry gulching folk on the night out and night out to the theatre. Thank you. Very good. Thank you for that pronunciation guide. It threw me off there. I probably would have pronounced theatre because that's more fun, but the pronunciation guide threw me right off. Not a single street those hooligans haven't staked a claim on, I tell you. You stand and walk over to the front window of the Ward Theater to tentatively peer through, but it is too dark to see anything inside. The elderly man eyes you curiously for a moment, then shrugs and continues walking. Well, I'd best be on my way. I would do the same if I were you, he says, rounding the street corner. You quickly follow, hoping to warn him to stay away from the theater. But when you turn the corner, it is not the elderly man you see, but the familiar sight of the stranger in his featureless, pallid mask. His unwavering gaze bears down upon you. Who are you? You call out. The stranger does not respond, but instead turns and disappears into the alleyway behind the theater. You give chase, hoping for answers, but by the time you reach the alleyway, it is empty, save for a notice on the wall near the theater's employee entrance. Don't be a wet blanket! Come to the King in Yellow cast party, 8 p.m. at the home of Constance Dumaine, 1452 Atlantic Avenue. Formal dress only. You tear the notice from the wall and take it with you, frustrated and lost. In your campaign log, record that the stranger is onto you. Add the man in the pallid mask weakness to the lead investigator's deck. Does not count towards deck size. For the remainder of the campaign, any time the bearer of the man in the pallid mask leaves the campaign for any reason, choose a new investigator to become the bearer of the man in the pallid mask weakness, and add it to that investigator's deck. In your campaign log, under Chasing the Stranger, place 1 tally mark for each time the man in the pallid mask was defeated during this scenario. For the remainder of the campaign, keep a running tally of the number of times the man in the pallid mask is defeated during a game. Each tally will bring you 1 step closer to the truth. I have 0! Each investigator earns experience equal to the Victory X value of each card in the victory display. I believe that is, 2. I got 2 experience. Yay! Crap. Good. I mean, I do love that, like, look how much is here. Like, so much is written that is like, you're only gonna see this if you lose. Like, there's some solace in that. There's some, like, you know what? I get this little thing that other people might not get. That's something. That's my consolation prize. Wow. And I can't even really tinker with my deck, because, like, even if I want to swap out, like, 0 cost, that costs experience to do. I mean, I could start over, but I don't want to do that. I want to commit to my trash fire. Come on, I'm the garbage queen. Interesting. Well, I have a little bit longer of time in my time slot to like do stuff, but I don't think I want to start the next scenario right now. So, hello everyone. What is up? Let me just take a quick look at chat and catch up on what I missed. B redeemed frame doodle, so I will add a doodle of Lola to the maybe I'll do that now. Actually, I could switch to drawing. That would be fun. For the last 15 minutes of the show, I do want to talk a bit more about my experience of playing that specific build of Lola. The deck didn't come together super well, but I think the concept was pretty solid in that if you combine Lola with forced learning and get 15 extra cards, and you are able to fill some of your role slots with permanents, you can actually kind of make a monocolored Lola deck. And why this is useful is because if you're sticking to one thing, you don't have to be constantly swapping. But normally you don't have the option to do that because she has a deck requirement of a minimum of 7 cards of 3 different factions. And that's 21 of your starting cards. That's kind of a lot. So if you can increase your deck size, which normally you don't want to do, but with Forced Learning, because you're drawing 2 cards, it's kind of not that punishing to have a bigger deck size. And if you can... What am I saying? If you can have permanents be contributing towards that value of 7 of 3 different roles, you could end up playing mostly 1 role, which is cool. I haven't really seen that or tried to do that. And the reason I haven't tried to do that, and probably you're thinking this as well, is that her shtick is that she can play lots of different roles. If you're going to play only 1 role, why don't you play a better character? One of the reasons is because survivors can't really get access to Forced Learning, which I think is a really useful survivor permanent, which is cool. I'm excited about that. But also because if you can just get the occasional useful card from a different class, that I think that can actually make up. If you can get cards that let you search your deck, or if they let you, just like other really useful things that you can add to a class that you otherwise don't have access to. And the fact that you don't have to be limited to level 0. Obviously, mine was a level 0 deck because it was the start of the game. But as you level up, most people who are splashing other colors are either limited to level 2, which, I'm limited to level 3, so not that different. But the other way is adaptable, lets you get like 5 level 0 cards or something, I think it is, from different classes, or something like that. So if you want to splash something, you're splashing a level 0 card only. So I'm really interested in the idea of exploring this space. Obviously, this deck is not ready, but I would be very into sort of publishing this concept once I have like a stronger deck idea. Something that works a bit better. But I think the premise is really cool. I think the premise is solid. That's good. B, here's your Lola. Oh, wow, you can't see her hair anymore. Sorry, let me put that back on. All right. Everybody, thank you so... Dang it, I dropped my pen. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. Thank you for chatting in chat. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for following. You can see my stuff on YouTube and things if you want to check out my other stuff. I don't have really any Arkham Horror content, but I have played some other board games with B, such as Aeon's End, which is a really good... I've rewatched that video like several months after we recorded it, and I think it holds up. I like that video a lot. Anyway, have a good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you next time.